Hello there, this is Greg Schultz of Server Storage IO. Hey, I'd like to invite you to ride along with me on a VMware vCloud Air Storage IO Lab test drive. Hey, this is part of a multi-part series. In the first video, part one, I actually did a little intro, showed you a little bit about VMware vCloud, what it is, a little bit of setup information. We also talked about the free service credits that you can get by setting up a VMware account while the offer exists. Here's the thing. Look on the bottom of this video. There should be a link on where you can go to click to set up your account and get up to $300 in free service time. Go to my blog, Storage.io blog, for the VMware vCloud Air test drive post, and I'll have the links in there as well as links to some of the different tools that I've mentioned in here. Okay, so as I mentioned in the first part, we did a quick overview tour, the high-level view, VMware Air Cloud. Now I want to drill down a little bit. Also in that first one, I showed you the environment I had currently running, which was a couple of database servers. In other words, this environment here, 2 clients and a database server. What I want to do in this next step is we're going to take a little closer look at vCloud Air, or VMware vCloud Air, and I'm going to actually provision a couple new virtual machines. So let's go over there and take a look at that right now. First off, this is my database server. I'm actually RDP'd into the virtual server, the database system, where I have MySQL Server 5.5 running. I've also have some workload running on this particular machine. But as I mentioned, I also have some application clients. 109.3, I got a 109.5 out there that are out there doing some different workload, also putting load on the particular database server. Okay, but what we want to do in this particular installment is I'm going to come over here and let's get back over to, there we go. So what I want to do here, jump around screens a little bit, is I want to take you back here. So here we are, we're in the vCloud Director. I can provision from the vCloud Director or from the main dashboard here. And if you recall from the first video, you select which virtual data center you're going to go into and what region. Well, I'm going to keep this all in the same region here. A couple of things is, along with the virtual data center, you will have to, when you first set up your virtual data center, you're going to want to create your gateway for your network access, as well as define your network. Okay, so I'm going to come back here to gateway. I can do some additional things by simply double clicking on that gateway. Okay, and those different things that I can do, here I did that pretty quick, so we'll bring that back here. We'll go back to gateways, double click on it, and all of a sudden I see my NAT rules, my firewall rules, my networks, my public IP. These are things that you'll want to set up similar to defining your own regular environment as a part of setting up your particular environment here. Okay. Now, being how this is a quick test, I didn't set up a real exhaustive firewall network. So go ahead and set those up how you normally would for your best practices for a tester production environment. But here's what I want to do right now is I want to create a new virtual machine. Now I've got a couple options here. I can choose out of the VMware catalog or one of my existing vApps. And this is a virtual app that I'd set up in the past for the actual database server. So if I was going to set up another database server, I could actually use this as my template. And that just has in there the definitions, the configurations that I would want to use. Now, what I'm going to do is just pick something here. I could pick a CentOS, an Ubuntu, but what I'm going to do is pick a Windows 2012 R2. Now notice as part of this, there's the cost for using some of these machines versus others. In this case, since it is Windows, there is a licensing fee. But a couple of things here. Okay, I'm gonna name this client number. Let's see if I can type here. Client number 4. And that's going to be my descriptive name for this virtual machine. One CPU is going to be good, memory is good. I could increase these up or down. For example, if I wanted to put 400 gig here, it's going to tell me what my corresponding cost per hour is going to be. Since these are going to be clients, I really don't need to do much. I only have one network set up right now, so I'm just going to set that. Let's go ahead and create this virtual machine. And that's actually going about provisioning right now. And we're going to see that on our dashboard. And actually, I want to do a second one here. And I'm just going to do the same thing again. Again, these could be whatever you want, however you want them configured. Let's call this client number 5. Okay. Now, a couple of things are going to be happening here in the background, which will take a little bit of time, which is right now the VMware vCloud Air is going out there, it's provisioning the systems. It's provisioning those 2 different Windows servers. And as a part of it, we can actually watch part of that, which in a moment here, we're going to get a screen that's popped up. So the circles spinning to tell us that we still have some things going on. While we're waiting for that to pop up, if I look at actions, I can take a look at some different things that are going on here. But right now, it's still provisioning. Once it gets a little bit further along in its provisioning cycle, we can actually go in there and watch it and see while vCloud Air is actually installing the VMware tools and things like that. But if I jump in here real quick and show you, again, this is where I could come in and make changes to my environment. I could look at my network configuration settings. I could also monitor in terms of what's going on from a usage standpoint. I can look at the past 24 hours, 7 days, my CPU, my memory, and disk reads, disk writes, other metrics, things like that. Okay, let's go and see how we're coming along on those virtual machines. They're still provisioning. Once they do provision, we're going to get a couple other pieces of information. For example, it'll show us what the initial password is for logging onto that machine, that we can log onto it using either the the virtual machine console, or we can RDP into it if we've set up our NAT, our firewall, our network appropriately, where we can come in from the outside world. Okay, let's go back and see how we're progressing there. And it looks like they're still provisioning. So we're just going to let those provision. And okay, if we come over here now to the vCloud Director, okay, we're going to see those other virtual machines added to our environment, which they're currently showing up as pending. So they're in the process of being added to the environment. Okay, there we see them under My Cloud. If we look under Catalogs, Administration, where you can then go in and do a lot of different things here. Okay, what I want to do is, if you remember way back in the first video, you can learn about the details of some of the things we're doing here. There's some more in-depth, the resource library, the documentation, frequently asked questions, more tutorials, things like that. There's quite a bit here that is behind the scenes, more of which is Windows-centric that I'm not showing you in terms of how I unloaded or how I installed the SQL Server, the apps and things like that. But I wanted to focus on today was mainly to give you this broad overview, again, going back to our picture here, of setting up the multiple virtual machines, 2 of which are currently being installed, 2 are up and running, to be able to work against that database system, setting that up in the US East region using vCloud Air. Anyway, as a reminder, check out the companion blog post, storageioblog.com, that will be called the VMware vCloud Air test drive. And in there, I'm going to have the links on where you can register for your free account to get those $300 in service credits while they last, but also a link to some of the different tools that I've mentioned, Benchmark Factory, HammerDB, the MySQL Server, some of the other different tools, as well as other techniques. Anyway, that wraps up this quick test drive. I wanted to give you a quick overview of VMware vCloud Air, going in and setting up a virtual data center in the US East region. That could be in the West, it could be the UK, Germany, Australia, whatever. It could be using different configurations, different things. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this quick ride along during this quick test drive of VMware vCloud Air. Look forward to future conversations and actually going a bit deeper on these and some related type topics. Anyway, this is Greg Schultz from Server Storage IO saying thanks a lot. Okay, enough said.